Are you really retaking?
This is it.
Take 5?
This is take 6.
Take 6?
We're recording take 6.
Alrighty. I'm here again.
Do we want to talk about why it takes 6 takes?
No.
Okay.
I'm here again.
This is Kim.
Hello.
I'm not Kim. You're Kim.
Gavin's got me on the microphone again.
Oh, man.
It's been in his dreams for forever for me to come talk.
Well, we had the coffee with Kim and Gavin idea.
It's been a while ago. But we just never have done that.
And I do imagine us getting a microphone. Like, I want to get the camera on a fire.
I did miss my fire this morning.
Right. So, I start the fire and start the camera, and it's just go.
Okay.
Something like that. But not this morning. But I want to start doing that.
It's nice to have a topic.
What do you want the topic to be?
I don't know. You're the one who dragged me in here. You invited me in on your podcast. You're supposed to have the topic.
Well, I think that it might be interesting for people who I talk to get an idea of what's it like being married to this person who likes to talk into a camera by himself sometimes and sometimes do live streams. I know that can be aggravating for you sometimes. You want to talk about that? Or do you want to talk about disease? And maybe that's connected to disease.
Well, it's just balance and relationship. Those are two topics: balance, relationships, interests.
Well, we kind of balance each other out as well.
And then there typically seems to be one person in the relationship who likes to talk on and be on camera and talk into a microphone and that kind of thing. And typically there's the other part of the relationship where the person is a little bit more introverted and doesn't want to be on camera and doesn't want to talk.
Right.
It seems like that. I don't know. You probably know more than I do. I don't pay attention to couples who do that.
Paul Vanderklay put the camera, he shined the light on Simone, a guy named Malcolm and his wife Simone. And so, yeah, it is rare. I think Brett Weinstein and Heather Heig are married. Well, you've seen them.
I've seen them.
Your facial expression. How would you describe that facial expression you just did?
I think they're cute. I don't mean this mean. Did they pay attention to you?
No, I don't.
Okay,
think
I don't
so.
mean this mean at all, but they remind me of Sheldon Cooper
and Amy Farrah
Fowler with the flags. Do you know what I'm talking about?
When they did the show,
the Amy and Sheldon flag show.
Right.
No,
I think
all in the best though, because I do enjoy them. I think they're interesting to listen to, and I love just good relationships, and I think they probably have a pretty good marriage because they're doing that together.
Right.
Well, so that's what I love about it. Just like I love Amy and Sheldon. So.
Well, it's interesting that there's different marriage dynamics. So sometimes it's the guy who's on the camera, and sometimes it's the male, or sometimes it's the female. Sometimes it might be the male and the female, but maybe it's centered around a topic.
Yeah, I'm always interested in the people that you talk to and who are their other halves.
Their spouses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool to.
Or if they don't have spouses, what are their relationships like with other people? Best friends, whatever. But it's always interesting to know the other person. Who's married to this person? Like, I would love to know Jason's wife. I think she's probably a pretty interesting person.
Yeah.
Do you know Jason's wife at all?
I've seen her in the background on a few conversations. You've been seeing. There's some people
I've
I've seen.
Like
when at the house.
I did not consent for that.
At the house in Huntsville, there was the picture of us married, at our wedding on the wall.
That was young Kim.
21-year-old
Kim. Maybe 20-year-old Kim.
Oh yeah. I kind of show them this high school picture.
No, that's college.
Oh,
that's probably 19-year-old Kim.
Is this 19-year-old Kim? The lighting's not good. I would have to fix the lighting. I have this laid
You can show 19-year-old and 21-year-old Kim and Gavin.
It's so interesting.
We've been together. Oh, you can probably show 13-year-old Kim and 17-year-old Gavin. 16-year-old Gavin.
I've got pictures.
Oh boy.
Here's the youngin. We were young.
I was what, 13?
Did you get given to me in marriage when you were 13 years old?
I was.
Golly. There was an arranged marriage?
I don't know. You may have started. We may have known each other when I was 13. I don't remember. Probably younger than that. It was swim team. I was younger than 13.
You know how people
But we didn't start dating till I was 13. I was in high school.
people have the story of like falling in love at first sight. There was.
Oh, you want me to tell my story?
Was there a love at first sight?
You want me to tell my story?
Was there a love at first sight?
How old was I? No, it was probably more of like.
You were going into ninth grade. It was the summer before ninth grade for you.
So I don't even know how old you are when you're in ninth grade.
I think you end up.
You end up being 13 in ninth grade.
Well, you can look at what year you were when you graduated high school, and then subtract 4, and then.
So.
You were 17, going on 18 when you were a senior. Subtract 4 from that, so then yeah, it would have been 13 going on.
Okay, so summer
14.
before we started dating.
We weren't dating then.
That I first saw you.
But yeah, you first saw me.
Okay.
We
Did we
don't
tell
have
the
to-
story?
No, we don't have to tell that story.
Why not? It's funny.
But I don't think it was. It
It's
wasn't.
funny.
It wasn't like a love at first sight thing.
No, it wasn't. It was more of like a lust at first sight.
Lust at first sight.
Can I tell the story?
Sure.
All right. So the way Gavin and I met was
Kimberly
on swim team.
exaggerates stories too, so I'm sure she.
Okay,
will
on swim
exaggerate.
team. I was on swim team since I was 5 years old, and then I go all through high school, up until freshman year. Anyway, that summer before freshman year, there was this guy on the swim team, and he had long curly blonde hair. He was a track star, so he had the body of a track star, and I was doing my laps, and I get to the block, and here comes this merman leaping over me. I did the rainbow, where you start your eyes and you go all the way around like a rainbow. I said, "Who is that?" That was lust at first sight.
Lust
I didn't
at
know.
first
Little did I
sight.
know that we would be married, 15 years, or dating 6 years, married 15 years, with 3 kids, later. But anyway, so then swim team is when our relationship started.
But
And then do you want to tell the rest of the story?
Well, I do want to point out that I think the reason
I
we're
wouldn't even say lust. You caught my eye.
yeah, I mean,
You caught my eye because you were new, and I've never seen you on swim
and
team.
I was wearing a Speedo.
Honestly, yeah, you were good looking. You had a good looking body. Come on, let's just be honest. People, whatever.
But the
And I was like, who's this interesting character?
I wasn't even. I was physically interesting.
Yeah, because I never even heard you speak.
But
So-
then I became kind of more than physically interesting when your parents. I got to ride with you and your boyfriend and your mom to a swim meet.
Well, not just us, but there's other people.
There was other people in the
yeah,
car.
there's my sister and 2 other guys on the swim team. And
But then you hear me being this person who challenges authority. Like I'm not just the person who just always says yes and agrees, and this kind of a disagreeable character. So I became interesting in that way as well.
yeah, I could say that I was never interested in the person who always wanted to do what they were told. So I guess you could say I was interested in more of like the rebel, different personality that I was not used to.
So I guess the people now
But
know I'm a
there's
rebel.
also a story where who's Kimmy? Remember?
Yeah,
That's
Kimmy.
part of the swim team story.
Well, that's how I became I was just kind of picking on your mom at that point because she called you Kimmy, and she kind of directed me towards you. It's funny that your parents kind of directed us together. Like they had a influential hand. Like all of a sudden, I'm getting invited to go to on a ski trip in Colorado.
That's when we were dating, though, right?
That's when we were dating. That's right. But what's interesting is that parents can extend invitations and exclude, right?
Yeah, I
And-
mean, so it's always easier if people are accepting of your boyfriend, girlfriend, that kind of thing versus the other. Which I know that some people still get together when parents aren't accepting of that person, but it seems easier.
Well,
Is this a good topic to talk about?
you tell me.
I don't know.
I think it's an interesting topic because we're parents and we will have an ability to know our children and to have an idea of the way we could behave in order to shape who they end up with in the future.
I don't know. It's something I kind of worry about. Something I also pray.
Well, something we
pray
pray
for
about.
now.
Yeah, on my
I
list
pray
here.
for their future wives and
Yeah.
husbands, and
I pray for, I'm praying for their spouses. You can see it on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Praying for the kids' spouses already. They're somewhere out there. If things go the way that we would want them to go. In my prayer this morning, I just declared, it's like, I know it's my petition, and maybe it's not in your will, but I'll do the petition anyways. I mean, why not? Why not petition for, and then show me if I'm wrong. But I'm going to petition for what I think's good.
The first person I ever heard say that was our brother-in-law's mom.
Right.
She told me that. She's like, I prayed for his wife every single day until he got married.
Right. And when they got,
That's the first time I'd ever heard of that. I was like, well, I need to do that
right,
for my kids. And that's before we even had kids, but
and when they got married, like,
that's a good idea.
that lady, her husband was very, like, it was just very natural for him to say, I got a new daughter.
Right.
You know? And so the family grew. The marriage caused the family to grow, and it seemed sincere.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that, approaching the marriage in that way, such that you're praying for the spouse of your children year after year after year for maybe even decades, all of a sudden when there's a marriage, you can have the faith. It's like, it's my daughter, or it's my
Right.
son. I've been praying for you for decades. I'm so glad to meet you finally. Kind of makes me tear up.
Yeah.
But the reason I wanted to say earlier, like you had said, there was no way you could have known that we'd be at this place in the future with 3 children. But in a way, I'll push back on that a little bit, because at one point I guess having children was always something that I thought about when it came to, like, maybe not always, but it's something that I learned quickly. It's like, no, sex is connected to having children. Mm-hmm. And obviously most men are interested in sex, and so for me it was just connected from the start. It's like, no, sex is connected to having children. I'm looking for someone to be the mother of my children, because I want to be able to live with this person and for the rest of my life, and I want them to be a good mother. And so, that's whenever it got serious for me, and I probably was you're still 15 or 16 years old, and I'm already thinking that, yeah, this will be a good one. So, yeah, while other people were, I remember guys trying to get me to hang out with them because I would be the one that would help attract females or something, and it's like, guys, I'm not into this game.
The merman.
Yeah, I'm not into this game.
Oh, I know.
I was being used by guys.
Well, it's it might be a rare thing for people to get together so young, especially nowadays. But people look at it as like, why would you want to be together with that person from 13? You just just went through puberty and all this stuff. Like, you're with the person you're gonna be with for the rest of your life, and so sometimes it felt like there's pressure where it's like, you shouldn't be with that person. But looking back, like, I'm so happy. Like, I wish that for our kids. Like, I don't know. I find people who have been together for a very long time successfully, I find them very interesting. Like, what type of people is that? What type of person is that?
There's also a thing that we've both kind of noticed, as being thankful for our exes, right?
Yeah.
And so it's, well, it's like,
we didn't really, at that age, I had one, like,
you had a boyfriend.
serious boy. I mean, it wasn't even serious, though. You know what I mean? Like, at that age, it's not really.
But my point is, like,
You may have had a more serious relationship.
Right, but I don't think I would have, I'm pretty sure I would not have met you without my ex-girlfriend.
That's
and
true.
if our relationship had not worked out, then I wouldn't be with you. There's a chance I would not be with you.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like
right?
it felt like it all worked out the way it was supposed to, even though when you're living in it in the moment, that never really crossed my mind.
Right, when you're in it, it's painful whenever you're going through breakups and things like that.
Especially when you're young and you got all those emotions and hormones and.
But it was neat though, the realization. It's like, oh, my ex allowed me to be introduced to this guy who allowed me to be introduced to his girlfriend, allowed me to be introduced to her sister.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That network effect where, like I mentioned to my buddy Wes, it's like, because he has a brother, and I was like, I've seen relationships where, we're friends, but who's to say that I don't end up becoming like best friends with your brother in the future? It's like, it could happen. These kinds of things happen. And, if you're kind of a kind, loving, filled with the Holy Spirit kind of person, it's like you would celebrate that. But it can be hard. I mean, I'd say for me, I've struggled with that. That's been some of my struggle that I've started noticing is an inability to, it doesn't come naturally for me to celebrate the successes of others, right? So it's something I pray that will be transformed in me. That's an interesting topic, the topic of confession. But I mean, we can end it there. We went into the.
Well, I guess your point was, talk about how, who's this guy that likes to talk on the camera and join in live streams and host live streams and chat on your chat place, and who's married to that type of person, I guess. I don't know if I described it very well. I don't know if I did a very good job.
Well, what are the challenges? Like, we've gone through challenges because at one point it was books, and sometimes it's having the screen in my face. Sometimes it feels like there's some kind of adultery or something. Like, it feels like that I'm cheating on you or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's this balance. There's definitely a balance in the idea that you have a computer hooked to your hip all the time. You can,
Oh, it's not even. It's like a gateway to all these connections and relationships with other people that are strangers.
Right. So I think when you first started doing it, if you want to get into it, when you first started doing it, it's like it was so new and fun and interesting that maybe you were overdoing it and you're kind of neglecting some other parts of your life. You know what I mean?
Well, I could become obsessed and fixated on something.
So, yeah, and just, I guess the balance of that, figuring out your, work, hobby, social, physical, figuring out all those aspects of your life and balancing them all. Like our preacher was talking about.
I like the juggling.
You gotta do all these things in the day, and you can't just do one thing too much in the day.
Right,
then you're not covering the other important things that you have to do in the day.
You need to take care of yourself each day, but you shouldn't take care of yourself all day.
Right, and you need to, just stuff.
But it can be difficult for people, including me, to juggle multiple important
I think the number
behaviors
one thing,
and thoughts.
If wives or husbands are going through this thing where it's like, well, who are you talking to on the internet? Or like, why are you spending so much time on the internet? Is first you have to be open and honest, like how you feel. And then you get to communicate that, and then the person who's taking that information in also has to be open and honest, and has to have some empathy, and knowing that y'all are both coming from a loving standpoint, that you are genuinely interested in what this person is doing on the internet, and what I'm doing wherever, and know that because you're interested means you care, and you have to know that, like if I didn't care, then I think that would have to be concerning. You know what I mean?
Right. It's
If
good
I
to
was
be-
like, oh, I don't care what he does on the internet, I don't care if he spends all this time, like, that should be concerning to you.
Right.
Like it's actually a good thing when your husband or wife comes to you and be like, hey, you know what? Let's talk about, like, who are you talking to? And, you know, let's talk about the time that you're spending on this or whatever.
Well, there's also can be a lack. So like
So it's good that people care, is my point.
right,
And that's
a
a
good
good
reminder.
sign.
Right. It's good to remember that.
You shouldn't feel attacked by that person. It should be like, wow, they care about what I'm doing. That's good. It's a warning sign when they stop caring what you're doing.
Right. And it's good to remember that, like, even at work, when my boss treats me a certain way, I can ask myself, how would I rather my boss not treat me this way? And similar with my spouse, with Kim, if she comes to me and expresses her feelings and concern, would I rather her not come to me and express her feelings and concerns? And so it's good to remember that in each situation where you feel like, why are they getting on to me? Right.
So that reaction is that's I think is pretty natural reaction because you feel like you're kind of being
attacked.
judged. You're being attacked or judged.
And you become defensive. And then you have to remember, is like, if I was in their shoes, what better way could they have behaved in this situation?
Right.
You
So
know?
I've learned this with our kids is like not to overreact. And then second, don't ever make somebody feel like they can't come to you and say something. So like, like my biggest goal with our kids is that in going into the future that they'll always feel comfortable enough to come to me with any situation. You know what I mean? And so like making somebody feel like they are welcome, you know, even when it's not really welcoming news, you know, it's like you never want to push somebody away by the way you react when they're trying to come to you, and maybe they need to work on how they come to you and how they talk to you, you know, but
I know that
never push people away.
One time I think some things had built up and you then opened up, and then you told me something and I'm like, okay. And then you told me something else, and I'm like, okay, that's two things. And you told me something else, and I'm just like, hold up. I can't. You're gonna have to stop unloading on me. I can only handle so much. But so I think you can still when the other when it feels like someone's attacking you, and you've opened yourself up to be able to receive it, you can still push back and say, hold up, there's only so much I can carry right now. Please be gentle with me as I absorb everything you're laying down, that you're unloading.
I think like the biggest, so we've been together 21 years, married 15.
We've been,
right?
But no, 2000, the year 2000 is probably when we kind of started dating.
Well, I thought that we dated for 6 years and then we got married, and we've been married 15 years, right? 16 years?
Sure.
Sure, whatever, right. But
No, 2002, maybe 2001, 2002. We've been kind of together since then.
So the biggest marriage advice, and we can end on this if you want to. If anybody wants my marriage advice, we're still pretty young into it, right?
But there's so many different people than us too. But
I know, but like I told you this the other day, and people may not take this the right way, but the biggest marriage advice I can give.
Dun dun dun.
Is that first one is that like, you know, well, let me just say this. The biggest marriage advice I can give is that you married that person for a good reason, and you know, you want to be married to that person. And you know, life has challenges, and things aren't always going to be great, but how can I put this?
Well, you can go slower. You can slow down.
That you know you're going to be with that person. You've made a commitment to this person. As long as you're not being physically abused or like, you know, like these things that, you know, wouldn't warrant this advice. But you know you're going to be with this person, and you know you want to be with this person, and you love this person dearly. They're your partner. You know, they're your soulmate. They're your, you know, your spouse. Is that you're going to want to work through it. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get in bed with that person, and they're your best friend. And so, like, having that in your head when you're in the heat of the moment, like, I just want to strangle him or whatever. It's like knowing that you're going to be with that person at the end of the day, and you want it to be good. Having that in your head. So wanting to work through anything that comes your way. I've had to learn that. I know it may sound silly. I don't know. But I've had to learn that over the years. You're looking like what?
So
I don't even know if people will understand that.
For me,
there's this greater good, and that's what you're. Like you.
I'm just different than a lot of people. For me, like I try to be like when I say I'm gonna be with you for life, it's like it's done deal, right? Like,
well, that's how we both are, though. That's how we both. I've always been. We've never ever had any kind of feeling like we were gonna separate or get divorced or anything like that. Like that's never come up.
But even though it's done deal, there's challenges. So like a confession would be that I was having better conversations and interactions with other people in the past, and I would say in the last few months, practicing making Jesus king, practicing prayers with Chad. It was like this thing that I'm doing with Chad. This is something that I could be doing with Kim, right? And so when there's something that looks like jealousy and feels like jealousy, it's like, well, I could ask myself, it's like, why am I not even wanting to do this with Kim? And then I start praying for it, and then next thing you know, Kim and I are pretty much, every morning having conversation and practicing listening and practicing bringing the Holy Spirit and practicing trying to get closer to God together. And it's like, and we've only been doing that recently.
Consistently. I would say we've always had pockets of it. Like I used to say like couples walks, like before kids when it was just you and me. Couples walks was like my therapy, I would like recommend for people who were having a hard time.
It gets you away from screens.
That's what it is. It gets you away from all the distractions. You're with that person and you talk. So like conversations in the car and things like that. Like we would definitely
turn
have
off the
pockets
radio
of things like that, but consistently having this focus, we've been doing that for.
Well, you were baking sourdough bread for a year before I even said, "Oh, I'll do it with you."
It was fun, wasn't it?
Was it fun?
It was fun for me.
Chad actually looked at this. He told me to look up the word fun and the origin of the word fun today. And the word fun, at one point, it was derived from something like fool.
Oh.
And even like kind of a trickery. And so it's... And so it...
Kind of like the court jester.
Well, that's what I said. But he said you're focusing more on the... He said you're focusing more on the fool and less on the part that's catching my mind. And so... Yeah, this word fun, the spirit of fun.
What would be a better word? Was it...
Well, it's play, the spirit of play. But it can be loving play, compassionate play, gentle play, like a holy play.
It's fun creating and making things with other people. And going through a process and teaching and learning.
It can be fun, but it can also be just hell.
Wow.
It depends on the people. You're like
sourdough making hell for you?
No. It could have been hell for me. I guarantee. Like
you hadn't fed your sourdough starter in a while.
Will it die?
It will not, but you might have to like refeed it a couple times before you like want to use it
to activate.
Yeah, it's dormant right now.
It's dormant.
Yeah.
It's like the seeds in the Death Valley and the super.
You can bring it back to life though.
The resurrection.
You gotta feed it. I'm probably gonna feed it when I go downstairs because we're gonna make bread for some people.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to stop it today. Yeah, I just wanted to get that confession out. It's like maybe for the people who are on the internet a lot, maybe there is someone who wants your attention and is jealous of the time you're spending with other people virtually on the internet or through books or through television, whatever thing. And maybe there is something that can there's a new practice that can be cultivated and you do it in a way which is gentle and inviting to the other person. Maybe you begin to take interest in the thing they're interested in. So, yeah.
And the other way around, like, I never want to take your community away from you, and because I know you benefit from it, and you form a couple of good relationships from it, and in return that makes you a better person. So even like the other person shouldn't want to take that community away, but I think just understanding who you're talking to, like I'm starting to kind of know the couple of the people that you're talking to,
Right.
So I understand, like, what's going on. And it's nice to know that maybe they have wives and husbands or families that, they're a part of too. So anyway, takeaway is that, never discourage somebody to come who wants to come and talk to you and try to make things better, or, has concerns, because that means they love you. And it doesn't mean that they're trying to take something away from you that you want to do.
Well, it's gonna.
And you should be concerned if they don't ever come to you.
Yeah, the first natural response is to feel like you're being attacked, and if you put in the effort, you can then begin to ask, well, maybe they have a case, and how would I rather them treat me, and because perhaps they're treating me in a way which is very good, right?
Right.
Or at least good.
And my relationship advice, that probably is not very good, is that you're always going to be with that person at the end of the day, and you should want to have the best relationship that you can. Why not? It's like, live your best life, have your best relationship, like, make it good. Grow, learn.
You heard a couple one time that said,
"Come on, let's do this."
You heard a couple where they say it works because at least one of us
never falls out of love at the same time.
Yeah, we never
It's
fall
what they
out of,
said, yeah.
Who says that?
I don't know. It's the story I heard way long ago. This old couple, and somebody asked them, what's the secret to marriage?
Mm-hmm.
And they said the secret to marriage is that both people do not fall out of love at the same time. And so I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know if I could ever fall out of love with you, but I think what they're trying to say is both people don't give up at the same time.
You could fall out of love.
Never.
I could test
Not with
you.
my merman. Are you kidding me?
I could test you.
Are you kidding me? All right, I gotta go take care of the kids.
All right. Thank you, people. Have a great day. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Love you, Gavin.
Love you too, Kim.